Hello, dear listeners. Welcome to Landing America. On today's episode, I had a special guest. I invited my friend Maria Mafe Teran, who came from Venezuela to America in 2016 on a student visa. Maria shares all about how she made it happen, her visa process, what it was like at the embassy, and how she adjusted to life here. She also talks about dealing with health problems and how they affected her plans. Maria shared some great advice for anyone thinking about coming to study in the US. So, without further ado, let's hear her story. Hi, Maria. Welcome to Landing America.
Hi, Tatiana. Thank you so much for having me here today.
Thank you for accepting my invitation. I'm really happy because this is the first time I'm having a guest on my show.
Thank you. And thank you for the trust, for being the number one.
Yeah, no, I was really excited to bring you on the show. So let's start from the very beginning. Let's talk about you and about your background, where you come from, a little bit about your family.
Okay, so my name is actually Maria. I go by Mafe. I'm from Venezuela. I have 7 years living here already, probably a little bit longer. I came in 2016 at the very end. I was 17 years old when I came here. I moved here to study, to went to the university. By that time, my whole family was living in Venezuela. And I moved here and I started living with my aunt and my uncle. Also, my two cousins, too. We all lived together. I started college. It was a great opportunity. My family stayed there. They just moved here on 2021.
Oh, that's nice.
Yes, that's great.
Very good for you.
So yeah, that's pretty much it about my background. I moved a lot back in Venezuela. So I lived in many different cities because of my dad's work. It was great. I still have a lot of friends from every place I live. I still have contact with them. And I also think that made it a little bit easier for me when I moved here because I already knew like kind of how to was starting from the very beginning when it comes to social.
Yeah, you had the
Yeah.
experience of moving to different places. So
Oh yeah.
when did you first time think about America or going to America? What gave you an idea?
So I really think since I was very little, I wanted to study here. I loved my English classes and I really wanted to learn English so bad since I was little. Of course, when you're little, you want to do a lot of things. I wanted to be like a dancer professional, a veterinarian. I wanted to be so many different stuff, but I always knew I wanted to do that stuff here.
Okay.
So, of course, when I was little, I would think about America as Disney. So I was like, okay, if I move there, I'm gonna be in Disney every day, which I'm not, but I mean, kind of close to Disney. So I started to learn English since I was very little. I didn't go to a bilingual school, but we did have classes like English classes, very basic. My parents would always take me to English classes, English lessons, but it wasn't like till I was around 13 that I got into a really good academy and I learned to speak English in pretty much 2 years. Of course, I don't speak English perfect. I'm not a native, but it helped me a lot when I moved.
Your English is really, really great. And I've also heard from some friends that I have from Venezuela, and they said that they didn't learn much English at school. So you actually did well.
Oh, thank you. Well, my English is not from my school. I mean, you will learn just the basics,
Hmm.
but is from the academy. And also, since I liked English a lot, I will remember watching TV in English since I was little, um, reading in English. My dad is a really big reader, so he will make me read a lot. It's a hobby I want to take back. I don't read that much anymore, but I would like to read again. That also opens your mind to new words, new um, way of saying things. The academy I went to is actually a British academy, but they teach American English.
Mm.
When I moved here, I knew a lot, but still in the university, when you apply, if you don't do TOEFL, which is like an exam, immigrants have to do when they join the university. If you come from school to university, if you live here since before, it doesn't matter.
Mm-hmm.
So I didn't take that test. I didn't want to. It was so long. It was a 3-hour test back in Venezuela. I just decided to come,
Mm-hmm.
and I did a test inside the university. It was like an hour test. Wasn't that bad. I did have to take one or two reading classes. Reading is harder. Reading, like the way that comprehension is completely different that I was taught in school in Spanish.
Mm-hmm. I saw the difference in English when I came here because our school system is teaching us British English in Europe. So
Okay.
so we are learning different vocabulary. What I would like to hear more about is what was the process of applying for your student visa? So
Okay.
basically, how much did it cost you? How long did it take? What documentation did you have to provide? Where did you have to go? Did you need to go to some interview? What were the chances of getting visa?
Okay. So I have to say, I was very lucky because when I did the visa, the student visa, we still had the American embassy back in Venezuela. Right now, we don't. So it's a completely different process in terms of budget because you have to add a travel, like a trip outside of the country, if you want to get the student visa. Now, Venezuelans have to travel to a completely different country to apply for the visa, get the visa, and everything.
It is much
It's
harder.
harder now.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, I've heard that right now a lot of people are getting the visa again from Venezuela. There was a time when it was really hard to get it. So it's good to know that we have new opportunities as Venezuelans in my case. So I'm gonna talk about my experience, how my experience was, and what I did to get the visa. But anyone has to take into consideration that right now we don't have the embassy back in my country. So that's an extra step that I can also talk a little bit about because my parents did have to travel to Colombia
Mm-hmm.
to get the visa. So in my case, I was living not in Caracas, which is the capital city. I was back living in another city. I graduated from school and I knew I wanted to come. My family was really supportive because in that moment Venezuela was not in the best shape. It was really bad. So they were happy that I decided to move. The process is you have to apply to the university first. So it took me probably 2 months between choosing what was best in terms of quality and price. It is really expensive for international students to come. We pay 65% more than a regular student. So that's more than double per credit. It's wild. And
Wow.
it's wild because you have to commit to a full-time schedule. So it's not only you have to pay that much, but you have to do 12 credits minimum, which is a lot. So I did college and I don't remember the exact cost, but I think it was near around 1,000 per credit.
Oh, okay.
A little less in college, if I'm not mistaken. It was like 700 per credit in college. Then when I transferred to FIU, it was a lot more.
And do you pay it gradually or all at once or in the beginning? How does that work?
So you have to pay throughout the semester. We don't get FAFSA or any program from like helping program from the government. I know if you're a really good student, if you're good with sports, and if you do it from your country, you can get help, but it has to be from before. When I came here, I didn't get any help from the government or anything, and I couldn't apply to anything because I was already here. In the case, at least of Florida, because I do know Venezuela has been through a lot since 2016. And I know right now there are universities that offer programs, like cheaper programs, or another states. I know Utah, for example, they help people that comes from Venezuela to study. So
Mhm.
again, I'm talking about my case when I came.
Why did you decide for Miami?
I love Miami. I still love Miami. I know a lot of people doesn't really love Miami, but I feel it's like I come from a tropical country. You know, I come from the beach. Here, summer is terrible. It's hot. I know, but I can live through that and then enjoy this time. Today, it's freezing.
Yes.
I mean, we're probably like this because we're inside, but today's in the 60s and we're freezing because we're not used to this.
I love I love Florida winter. It's my favorite time because
Of course.
it's sometimes summer is unbearable, but the winter is perfect.
I know winter is perfect and it makes it worth it because you can go, even in winter, you can still go to the beach. Coming to answer your question, we also had planes that will travel Venezuela to Miami. So it was just one plane, 3 hours. It was great.
Lucky you.
Now we don't. Right now we have to
Oh,
go to another country and then come here. It's a completely different story right now. But
mm,
by that time, take one flight, that's it. My
int-
family could come because just one flight. I had family here, my uncles and my cousins, and yeah, I think I didn't think about moving anywhere else by that time. I will remember I thought about LA, but my mom said, "Okay, wait, you're 17. I don't want you to go to LA right now. Maybe when you transfer to the university in 2 years, we can think about it." It was I mean, I come from Venezuela. LA is wild compared to my country, you know.
yeah,
LA has different rules, different laws for so many things. Like my mom was really scared. Now that I live here, I know Miami is pretty much the same.
it's
But
wild.
when you're yeah, it's wild. I know, but when you don't live here, you don't know that. You think LA is wild, but I think
Mhm.
it's pretty much the So, okay, I decided about Broward College. It was the best price and quality at that time. I applied. I think it was $60 to apply to college. So they ask for your documents, they ask for your diploma, for your grades, and of course for your birth information and all that. You have to send them the documents.
What did you want to study?
So I first came to study psychology, but I changed that. I'll tell you about it later. I came to study psychology. I love psychology. It's something I really like. I applied for the program. You apply for an associate, which is the 2 years. They accepted me, and then with that letter of confirmation, you apply for your student visa. I did my process myself. I didn't hire any lawyer because I knew a lot of English. So it did took me a couple hours to
Mhm.
fill out the forms. It's a lot. I don't remember how many questions, but it's a lot. And they will ask you how many times have you been here, your I-94s from all of those times, or the five last times, if you've been to different countries, why do you want to be here? What do you want to study? After the whole process of the online questions, they ask you to bring certain documents, including your statement, like bank statements of your parent or whoever is going to sponsor you. In my case, it was my family. So I will remember we grabbed so many documents that it was a huge folder when we got to the embassy. So I applied, I believe it was at the very end of October. And my program started on January. So I didn't have that much time to get my visa, my everything else. I did had my tourist visa, but I didn't want to come here and change my status. So I had to do the student visa. Okay, I applied the very end of October. Then November, I got the confirmation. And I believe it was on the 16th of November that I had to go to the embassy. You have to take a bunch of documents. You have to take the same things the university already asked you for, the letter. I remember I had to pay $100 to get the letter of the university sent back to my country because my country is wild. So it was a lot. So $100 to get my letter. I got the letter, I got my documents, I needed to have my birth certificate in English and any other documents they asked for, like what my dad did for a job, why did I want to come. And when I arrived to the embassy, I remember they put me with two other people that were asking for the student visa on a line, right? And it's, I don't know if the embassy, if when you do it, your process to come here, you have to go to the embassy. It's like a bank. So they have like certain spots for every person behind a window, and they also have a curtain, right? So they close the curtain after between every person, between every family. It was my very first time going to an embassy because before I was underage, so I was under 16, so I didn't have to go anytime my parents did my tourist visa. So I was pretty nervous. And of course, I wanted to come here, but when you go there, you're like, okay, I'm like 1 second away from literally just leaving and everything I'm leaving. So I remember they put the two people on their lines to get to the guy, and I was in the middle. So it was 3 lines, people asking for different visas, and the 3 students. So the lady on the left went first. She had a bunch of documents, and the guy didn't took 2 minutes to said, I don't know what they asked her or whatever, but the guy said, oh, I'm sorry, we cannot give you the visa. And they closed the curtains, and I was like, oh my God. Oh my God, I got so scared, you know? Then the other guy goes, and I was really scared, you know? I was like, oh my God, I have to see what they're gonna say. It's the same. 1 minute. I'm sorry, we cannot give you the visa. Your visa is not approved. Oh, and it was my turn. With another guy, but still it was my turn. I was like, OMG, I should leave, right? I'm just gonna study here. And then I arrived there. I remember we handed the whole thing, the whole package. The guy, it's of course they're all American guys. I talk English, but I didn't live here. What I knew about English was a lot, but I wasn't used to having a conversation. And the guy was like, hi, where are you gonna study? And he opened the folder and he was like, oh, you're going to Miami? And I'm like, yes. And he's like, oh, a lot of immigrants in Miami. And I'm like, yes, I love Miami. I've been there. And he's like, he didn't take a look to the whole thing. He just did like 1-2 pages, look on the computer, look at me, and was like, okay, congratulations, you just got your visa. And
Wow.
I'm like, for real? I'm like, you sure? And then I was really happy. I mean, I was really nervous, but I was happy, you know? I mean,
So
I did it.
why do you think that you got it and the people before you didn't? What do you think was the reason?
I have no idea. I don't know if it had to do with my things that I knew how to speak English, if it had to do with my parents just wanted to live there because they had jobs there. So I didn't have anything that said that I wanted to just live here forever. That wasn't my plan. I moved here and I didn't want to stay here forever.
Yeah.
Oh, I remember I said the guy, like, thank you, but I do have to be there before January. Because what I told you about the TOEFL, that like the English test that I didn't want to do, I had to come here on December before the university closed. So I could do the test and I can get into my classes that will start on January 4th, something like that.
And was that your first time ever coming here, or have you been to the States before?
No, I've been here before that. I came to just to travel,
Okay.
but it's not the same. I mean, you come here, you come for fun,
Yeah.
you come for, Disney. What I was telling you, you come to visit your family and go to Disney and whatever. That was my thing.
Hmm.
So moving is different. I mean, you come with your 2 bags full of whatever you could put into, and that's it. That's your life.
Yeah.
That's where your life start. I was graduating school. It was a big change in a lot of aspects for me. I moved here after school. Oh, different country, no parents. Even though my parents didn't live with me the last year I was in high school, I would see them probably every weekend.
Yeah.
And it was because I had to move. It was because my decision was to finish senior year in a different city that they were living in. But still, it was hard. I couldn't call my mom like, okay, I'm gonna just see you in 30 minutes. In a 30-minute flight, I'm gonna be there. This was a whole different thing. And I remember I got my visa on November 30th, which is my dad's birthday, and I had to buy the ticket for, I don't know if it was December 3rd or 6th, but I had to come as soon as I could because um I had to do the test and I had to did my classes and did advisor. I've never been here to a university. I mean, I've never done anything here. So I arrived, my aunt picked me up from the airport. I left, I mean, I used to live with them. I left with them until 2021. So it was a long journey with them. Of course, that made it easier. That was a huge support for me.
And what were your, okay, so I know your first impressions were that America is like Disney, but what would you say now after living here for so many years? You've been here now like 6, 7 years, right?
Yes, yes, in 2016, it's a lot.
What would you say? What was the biggest difference between what your expectations of America were, or first impressions, and what it actually is? Like, is there something that you don't like about America, or what is it that you do like about America? I want to hear more about this.
Okay, since I came very young, my expectations were just university life, like I'm gonna go, I'm gonna study, I'm gonna have fun, and that's it. Do you remember the Soy 101? I was like, I'm gonna just live that kind of life. Soy 101 was a Nickelodeon show where
I don't know.
I don't remember if they were in high school or not, but they were staying in dorms, they would live like the life I thought I was gonna live here.
Uh-huh.
So then I came here. The first 6 months were the hardest. I made friends, of course. I still keep most of those friends till now. One of my best friends is from that time. One of my boy best friends is also from that time. But it was hard because I was coming from high school where you can see your friends every single day. Venezuela is different. It's like, oh, you want to come to my house? Yes, come to my house. 5-minute drive, or and then you will just make it to their house. I was like, you turn into a woman, because then I was like more independent, I had to manage my time myself. It was a lot. So it was a little bit hard the first 6 months to adapt, to make more friends, and to make friends that I can go out with. Here in America, I feel it's not that, I mean, I wouldn't say it's impossible or it's hard to make friends, but you have to adapt
Mhm. Of
to the life here.
course, yes.
course. And people here is different. In my case, that I came so young in my country, when you're 16, you still live with your parents. I mean, most of the people live with their parents until they graduate university. Or
Yeah.
they move, but you still have like a lot of support from your parents. And I'm not saying Americans don't have that support, but it's different. You're 16 and you're more independent. Here, 16-year-old get jobs, have a different life than in my country.
100%.
At least, yes, at least all my lifestyle. My friends didn't have work. I mean, they didn't work for anybody when we were 16. Here, people work. And then I came here and I was like, okay, let's do something. And people was like, I work, I work. And of course, my friends that I still kept, they were also international students. So it was easier for me to just be friends with them, you know?
Yeah.
So I started knowing more people. I started going to more places. At the end of 2016, I already made a good group of friends, and it kept growing since then. I did community hours in a summer camp that I still do now. It's been great. I've made so much friends. Most of my good friends come from the camp, and then you start to know more people.
And you have finished your studies already? How long
So,
how long was your
so
college?
okay, so college I did. I don't remember if I did 1 or 2 semesters of the reading courses and the grammar courses from English, and then I did my 2 years.
Mhm.
And then I graduated college. So I did college in 2017. I did English, 2018 and 2019. I did my classes. And because I changed majors, I finished like the very first semester of 2020.
Okay.
Okay, so now I do remember what I did take a little bit longer than normal. I had a major surgery and I went back to Venezuela for a whole semester. So I stopped
Wow.
and then I came back. I know. And I did it there just because my family was there. I feel it's a huge difference when coming to doctors here. Um, so I just did it there. A personal decision. It was great, but I did spend a whole semester out of here and without taking classes. Then 2020, I graduated. I didn't get that graduation, like woohoo graduation. I did Zoom graduation because it was COVID. It was a year without me seeing my family because they couldn't get out and I couldn't get to Venezuela.
And
Miami was wild.
so what happens when once you finish studying, what happens with your student visa?
Okay, when you finish studying, you get a year of OPT, right? So you can have like practice. It's called OPT because you practice what you did.
Mhm.
I don't remember what OPT stands for, but I do know it's a whole year where you can get a job where they pay you really low rates. And that year you have to find someone to sponsor you if you want to stay here. So I
Someone,
didn't do the OPT.
who do you find, like, who can be the sponsor?
You apply for jobs. You
Mhm.
apply for jobs, but you need to find a job that will sponsor you.
Okay.
All right. So, for example, my friend, she found a job in a big company and they sponsored her visa. And
Is
that's a
it,
whole different process.
is it easy to find a company that
No,
it's not,
it
right?
is not easy because I finished college and I changed to FIU then. But my friends that has done it, it's hard. I mean, you can find someone that accepts your OPT, but maybe they don't want to sponsor you. They don't have the money. It's a whole process where they need to assure the government that they wouldn't find someone with the same capabilities that you have. Some of my friends has found sponsors.
Mm-hmm.
I moved to FIU. You have to reapply. Your visa wouldn't. I mean, your visa, they give you a visa for 5 years, but it doesn't matter. I mean, you won't have a problem, even if it's like if your visa just expires, you won't have a problem if you're still studying.
Okay.
my visa finished and I already had my boyfriend. As I said, my plans were never staying here. I actually, when I wanted to do psychology, I thought about moving to Spain. But then, well, I met my boyfriend, and then we got married. That's another story, personal story. We got to dating, we travel, and we ended up decided to get married. Because I was studying. So
What do you do right now?
so right now I'm in the process of residency. I haven't gotten my residence and I haven't been able to take my classes. So I got married 2022, sorry. I got married. And I wanted just to finish my school so that I can have a regular married life. But 2021, I had to repeat my surgery that I did in Venezuela. It was I had problems with fibroids and fibroids growth without any, there is nothing that can stop them to grow. There is nothing to prevent them. You just get them. So I got them again. I had to do the surgery. And just after I got married, I did the surgery and I couldn't take classes that semester because it's a long recovery. Of course, before that, I had to move, starting my married life. I didn't take classes that semester, and I thought I will start classes again in January. But it happened to be that I couldn't because since I entered a new process, I kind of not lost it not, is not the word, but maybe like changed my status to a new one. My student visa was not valid anymore, and I couldn't get into my classes because I was without status. I was legal, of course, in the country, but I didn't have anything to prove what my status was at the eyes of the university. So since then, I'm still waiting for my residency to finish my school. I still have 2 semesters left that I'm dying to do. But yes, it did affect my process of school in this country. If I would have known, I would probably did take classes while I was in recovery. I mean, it will be really hard, but I probably will do it if I take back the time. But it's okay. That gave me the time to, focus on my new family. We adopted a doggy at that same year at the very end. She's like our life. We love her. I mean, she has an Instagram and everything. And since then, I feel like I just focus on myself, myself, my family, my growing. Got to study different stuff, got to take different courses, do a lot of networking. We moved again down to Miami. So I wouldn't say it's something bad. It just helped me open my mind and it helped me open myself to new opportunities. But I do want to finish study as soon as I can.
Got it. Okay, so my next question for you is what would you say, what are the main differences that you perceived since you got here between your home country, Venezuela, and here that you encountered?
So since I moved here really young, I feel a lot of aspects of my lifestyle were formed here. But it was like, as I told you before, I feel making friends is harder when you arrive here. Different culture, different timing. People here work since a very young age. If you come as international student, you cannot work. So it's not like, oh, I'll just get a job at the very beginning. Uh, Unless it's illegal. But in my case, I wasn't working. Um, you cannot, I mean, and you don't know that many things from here. You have to start doing a research and you have to work on yourself, of course, because you're moving to a different country. I mean, even if you want to live here, if you really want to move, whatever, you have to prepare yourself from what's going on from now on. A key recommendation I give to people when they come here is you have to open yourself to change it. You have to adapt, you have to research, and you have to learn how to live your new life. You don't have to lose your identity, but you do have to learn how it is to live here.
You need to assimilate to the environment,
Of course.
culture.
And you need to assimilate your environment. As I told you, I move a lot, and different cities means different kind of cultures, even in your own country. That made it easier for me to adapt, but it was still hard, especially because I was growing. You're in your teenage years, you are more insecure. You start gaining confidence when you're older, when you start working on yourself, on loving yourself more. But I mean, I feel when you're a teenager, you're probably going through a lot, and moving through a new country is a lot more. But another difference I saw was doctors here are completely different. I did my surgery here on 2021, but I did it with a Venezuelan doctor. He's an American doctor, of course, but he's Venezuelan. But he was born in Venezuela.
Okay.
That made me feel better when talking to him. Here, the rules regarding medicines are different. So, you know, doctors have to be really careful on what to say, what to do, how to act. If they won't touch you, if you don't ask them, like, hey, you have to touch me here because this is broken, you know, it's a whole new different thing. I think that's hard. In my country, it's not, you don't have to tip, for example, when it comes to restaurant. But my family always did that. So it wasn't a shock for me that here they ask you for a tip. But I do know for a lot of people coming here, paying for a restaurant and tipping, it's wild. Driving here, a lot of rules to drive. I mean, we live in Miami. People drive here like crazy. Right now that I'm old, that I've been, well, not old, but I'm older, I've been back to Venezuela, and I can say people there drive, I mean, in a different way. Not many people follow the rules, but here in Miami, people drive crazy too, or like drive faster than in my country.
I agree with that.
I didn't realize that. I was driving in my country and I was like, I feel I'm going too slow.
So, knowing what you know now, after being here for so long, what is there anything you would have done differently with the knowledge you have today, or would you do the exactly same path as you did?
So I feel I will do the same just because my process helped me grow and helped me become what I am today. So when you come here, and I will say to any country, and when you're growing, you're learning, you're making mistakes, you're learning new things. What I will say to my young self is like research more, study more, try to adapt more easily, and try to accept the changes. I think you have what we just talked about. You have to accept what is different here, and do not compare your country to America. I feel something that everybody does, and it's just something that's on your DNA. You will compare the country because you're changing. You know, you will say, "Oh, but this is my country is not like this." Do not compare your countries. They're different. I still, almost 8 years after moving here, I still compare my country to some things here that I'm like, oh, but in my country, I wouldn't done this. And I'm like, okay, just shut up.
I keep doing that too. But
I know, but
there are some things that are better there, and many things that are better here. So nothing's perfect. We have to just stop comparing.
nothing's perfect. That's something really important what you said. I feel when people come to America, they feel everything's perfect here. No, it's not. It's not perfect. Of course, you're gonna have a better life quality in terms of what you live in a third world country. You'll have more opportunities. But this is a country where you have to work for what you want.
So that's the advice you would give to people, let's say from Venezuela, or young students who are thinking about studying here?
Yes, I would say you have to prepare yourself. You have to think on the future. You have to believe that you are going to come here and you're going to have fun and you're going to learn and you're going to grow as a person. Doesn't matter if you're young, old, really old, whatever. But be prepared to work for everything. I feel what I just said. I feel people think this is an easy country to just come. This is not an easy country to just come. You have to adapt. You have to work your booty off to what for what you want. And you have to focus. I feel a lot of people come here, and especially from foreign countries, and they will say, "Oh, but you're gonna make I don't know, $5,000 a month. That's a lot. Yeah, that's a lot. But then you're gonna spend it." It happens. What I see in a lot of people from my country. I know there's a lot of people like walking here, and I won't judge anyone because I feel everybody has different lifestyle. Everybody has different possibilities to do stuff. But I feel this country should have a banner in every place where people can enter this country that says, if you're coming here, be prepared to work. It's like what I'm telling you. Maybe somebody says, oh, but if you're a waitress, you're going to make $5,000. Yes, maybe in another country, $5,000, you're a millionaire. But here, when it comes to pay rent, pay a car, Miami is not a walkable city unless you live in the downtown. Or or if you live in close by cities, you have to live in downtown. If you live Broward, Weston, Pembroke, those are not walkable cities. Those places doesn't have a downtown. You have to think into consideration about your car. I know buses and transportations here is not the best. People have to take that into consideration about Miami. So a car, the rent, and all of your expenses. You're living here now. So my what I will say to people that want to come here is just prepare yourself, make a plan. This is a country where you have to plan yourself on what you want. Make a plan and try to keep to your plan. I know things change and nothing is perfect, but have your goal and work for your goal. If you change your plan, change your plan, but keep working on your goal. It's so easy. This is a consumer's country.
100%. You have to make steps to make your dream come true, or the things you want. They will not just happen to you because you're dreaming about them.
Yes, and just be open to change, be open to adapt, be open to make new friends, to get to know people from a lot of cultures. I feel Miami is great for that. There is people from, I firmly believe we have people from every country in the world. There's probably someone living here in Miami.
Yeah.
So I think it's a great city to open your network and to just learn.
That's right. I am so happy that you accepted my invitation to this show and that you shared your story and your visa process and all your impressions. I'm 100% sure this will be very, very valuable to all the listeners. So thank you very much again, Maria. It was very nice to talk to you.
Thank you. Thank you, Tatiana. Thank you for having me here. It was a pleasure. And of course, I'm here to help anybody with questions in the future.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.